Hello, this is a quick video of a project I've been working on. This is a battery-driven mmWave presence sensor. I plan on making this open source, all of it, the electronics, the firmware, the enclosure CAD files, everything. It uses Matter over Thread, so there's local APIs, there's no cloud subscription or anything. The design looks like this. There's a battery in this box right here. It's a 2000 milliamp hour LiPo battery. The cable for that battery goes through this ball and socket joint right here into the sensor head, which has the electronics with the mmWave presence sensor and also the RF module to send the thread data. There's USB-C right here, which you can use to charge the battery and reflash the device. There's a hole right here, which you can almost see. There's a little button there on the PCB. I'm planning on designing some kind of actual push button that is on the enclosure itself, but for now you have to push the button with a pin or something like that. The reason for this design is that you can tilt the entire sensor head like this, and it gets held in place by friction in this ball and socket joint. And this makes it possible to mount the battery side of things in a corner on a wall, and then you can tilt the sensor however you want to look at whichever direction you want. This is not the final version. I've been going through quite a few iterations of this, and I really don't like how clunky it is. The ball and socket joint has to be pretty big in order to not squish the cable. If I do this, you can sort of see the red and black cable in there. So this design makes it rather clunky, but it's also quite handy to be able to point the sensor head wherever you want. But I'll probably do some more iterations on this and come up with a new design eventually. For the specifications, it has a range of up to 8 meters. It detects very small movements. It is a mmWave sensor, as you expect. But since it's battery driven, of course, it's not as accurate as other constantly powered mmWave sensors are. It has a pretty fast response time. So as soon as someone comes in front of the sensor, it responds usually within 1 second. This is my kitchen area, and if I go up here you can see that there are 2 lights up there. And if I zoom in right here, you can see that the little sensor is sitting right there looking forward. So currently I can move around and it doesn't trigger. As soon as I take 1 step forward, which I will do now, the lights just immediately come on. So that's how fast the response rate typically is. Sometimes it's a little longer, but usually within 1 second. The battery life depends on how often the sensor detects presence. If it always detects presence, it has a battery life of about 3 months. If it never detects presence, it's about 6.5 months. So realistically, you're gonna get something in between there, like 4 or 5 months, I would guess. This is also something that can be improved in the future, since you can always reflash the device through the USB-C. I'm going to show you how to add the device to Home Assistant as well. So this is Home Assistant without any fancy dashboards. You open the side panel, you go down to Settings, you hit Devices and Services, you click Devices at the menu at the bottom, and then you click Add New Device or Add Device, and Add Matter Device. And this is the same way you add any other Matter device, so there's no difference here. It's a new device in this case, so I hit It's New. And here we come to the scan the QR code page. You open your camera and you scan the QR code. This will go very quickly, so boom, it's done. And then you get this Get Ready for Setup. You click I'm ready. It's going to start searching for the device, and it found the device, it's connecting. This usually takes a while, like 30 seconds or something. It's trying to connect to the device over Bluetooth. It's generating a bunch of credentials and whatnot, and then connecting it to my network. So now the device is connected. You hit done, and here you have the device. It already has a name, as you can see at the top, because I've already added it before. But this is how it looks when you add a new device. You can see the firmware, the hardware, the serial number. You also have all the different controls here. So the first control here is the auto threshold. When you set up the device, you can hit this switch right here, and it will start scanning the environment for 2 minutes. and that will be used to get a baseline of how the environment looks when there's no one in it. So you're not supposed to be in front of the sensor when you do this. And after that, it will be able to detect deviations from that baseline to know that something has changed and someone is in front of the sensor. Down here you can see the occupancy, if someone's detected or not. If you tap that, of course you have all your Home Assistant history as any other device. The configuration has the detection distance, which is the how far away from the sensor you want to detect movement. This number here is just how many gates you want to detect, and one gate is roughly 0.7 meters. So you have to do the math yourself. It goes up from 0 to 15. Then there's the firmware attribute. That's not really used as of yet. I plan on implementing that in the future as well. There's hold time, which is how long time after it stops detecting movement until it actually turns off the sensor. So that's something you can adjust between 10 seconds and I'm not sure what the upper limit is, but I think it's like 2 minutes or something like that. Holding offset and trigger offset are some beta things I'm testing out. It's used to be able to adjust the trigger and holding offsets up and down. Then you have the battery voltage. Actually, this one is in volts. You can actually go in here and change this, I believe. Yes, here. You can change it to millivolts and you can get a more accurate reading. Currently, it only tells you the voltage of the battery. In the future, I'll probably add some better tracking so you get some kind of percentage. But it's a little bit tricky to do with these batteries because you kind of need a separate IC to actually get very accurate readings of the battery. And I don't really want to spend the money on putting that IC on every board. I don't think it's really necessary. Since the battery life is so long anyway, you don't really need that info. Yeah, and then I have some automations here. That's just turning on and off my kitchen lights. And of course you have everything you would expect from a Home Assistant device. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say in this video. I will create more in-depth videos in the future. I plan on going through the different electronics in this, the PCB design, the enclosure design, the software, etc. So if you're interested in that, then stick around and let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.